I was a trainer in London for about 8 years, and I was training about 30 to 40 people a week at one point. So I got to learn a lot about many different areas of health and working with people. And I want to share, I've listed 10 things that I've learned over that time to help you achieve your goals and to help you better yourself as well from my learnings. So without further ado, let's begin. I sounded very Cornish then. Number one, clients were most motivated when they were deprived of something, or call it another way, when there was their biggest pain. And it makes sense. When you are deprived of something, you want it more. For example, if you're deprived of sleep because you had a really bad night's sleep, the day after, what are you yearning for? Oh, I'm going to get to bed so early tonight. I'm deprived of sleep, so I want more sleep. And it's exactly the same with people's goals, and it's exactly the same with your goal. You got to look at your goal, or the utmost important goal right now, as what is my most deprived thing, or what is my biggest pain right now? Because whatever that is should be the priority. For example, if it is you being deprived of the ability to play with your grandchildren because your lower back just doesn't have the strength, that's your biggest pain. Okay, then let's start there. Let's start building up the strength of your back. Let's build up the core, because that's your biggest pain point right now. And I found that if I got, and it took a bit of work to do this, if I got a client to understand what their biggest deprivation or pain point was, then that's where I began with them. Yeah, they might have aesthetic goals. I really want to look good. I want to be able to bench this or squat this, deadlift that. And they're great. I loved working on those goals. But I had to go deeper to understand the real motive and the real area of improvement that had to get my most focus for them to actually achieve what they wanted deep down. So that's my question, and this is point number one. Have a think. What is your biggest pain point? What are you most deprived of right now? And whatever that answer is, you might need to sit on the edge of your bed for 10, 15 minutes, an hour, and ask yourself that question. But whatever the answer is, will be where you should give your most focus right now. And that pain point will change. But if you're struggling to understand where to begin with a goal, then I really recommend starting there, because that's the biggest priority for you right now. So where are you most deprived? Where's your biggest pain point? Cool. 2, the goal never made them any happier. The goal never made a client any happier. And I really remember this time, I was training a guy called Dan, and legend of a guy. If you're watching, Dan, you're a great guy. We were training him for his wedding originally. So he came to me, hey, I want to get this size by my wedding. I want to look like this. I was like, great, let's do it. And there's a before and after. I'm going to try and find it and overlay it on the screen. But we got such good results. And it was over, I think, about a 6-month period. Really good results. And I always remember messaging on him around the wedding day and asking, hey, how did it feel? How did it feel? I think I said something like, how did it feel feeling jacked on your wedding day? And he said the funny thing was, I wasn't any happier than when I was at the start. And this got me to think. He then went on to say, I was actually the most buzzed or the most happy when I was training for that goal. And that got me to think, okay, well, this is a perfect example of the goal that he's just hit didn't make him any happier. It was actually the person who he became in the process. And it goes on to the, be process driven, right? But it is so true. If you really focus on the process towards a goal and seeing the improvements you are gaining, the traits and the character improvements that you're seeing, waking up early, being consistent at the gym, eating better than you ever have before, those are the things that are making you happier. Not the goal itself. Yes, the goal might give you a momentary, we did it. But it's actually the person who you become in the process. So think about that. If you're on the way to a goal, yes, you've got the goal, you've got the outcome. But now switch your, let's say, level of happiness and satiation to that person you are improving every day. It's like a character in a game. Every day you try and get it a little bit better. I don't play games, but I'm assuming you upgrade the character to some level. That's exactly like life. You're upgrading your character, and for you to appreciate that, you've got to stop and reflect. Wow, I'm waking up earlier than before. I'm getting to bed earlier than ever. I'm eating better than ever. I'm training harder than ever. And there lies in true happiness, or where the biggest satisfaction comes. So the goal won't make you any happier. It's actually the person you build in the process that will. 3, getting upset at a client who was late never changed anything. Interesting one. So in my early days, if I was a little frustrated or I had, back-to-back clients, and there was a client that came in late, yeah, there might be a level of unhappiness, or you've got to respect my time. And it doesn't change anything. They're late. Let's go. Let's get on with it. But I bring this up because when I went from the mindset of unhappiness, why don't they respect my time, to, oh, how come you were late? Was everything okay? How was work? Is everything going okay? A level of understanding, that's the key thing. When I started to understand the reason why they were late, it made them feel appreciated. It made them feel like I understood instead of judged them. If I judged them, they're like, oh, they don't care. But if I understood them, then they had more of appreciation of, wow, yeah, he really gets me, or understands, or wants to know, why I'm late. And what I found was the people who were late a lot actually started to turn up on time. It's an incredible shift that I really saw. So bringing it to you, being hard on yourself, or putting yourself down, or telling yourself you're worthless, or saying you're an idiot for being late, or you're this or that, it's not helpful. So what you need to do is understand where you're at. Instead of saying, I'm an idiot for not turning up today. Okay, well, why didn't I turn up? What's happening? Is there a genuine reason? Well, that did happen last night, and I have barely any sleep. Yeah, right, that's probably the reason why I didn't turn up. Maybe there's not a genuine reason. Maybe you just overslept, and you think, well, full honesty, I overslept. This happened. Let me do better. But when you approach where you're at with understanding of you and not slating yourself, then you tend to have a bit more respect for yourself. You tend to actually think, this is where I'm at. This is the situation. I understand that. And I don't know what it is, but there's something there that just switches in your mind to, this is where I'm at. I understand myself, but I'm going to keep pursuing. Instead of hating on yourself, putting yourself down, that leads down the path of, well, what's the point? I give up. What's the point in turning up for the gym or this nutrition? So understand where you're at, and will seek to understand yourself, right? Guess that's what I'm saying. Cool. Hope you're enjoying it so far. 4, every diet works if you stick to it. So every diet will tend to work if your goal is fat loss, if you adhere to it. If I just drank water and ate apples, I'm going to lose weight if I'm consistent with that. If I just drank water and ate chocolate bars, I'm still going to lose weight. The mechanics of weight loss or fat loss don't change. If you're eating less than you're burning, the body will tend to burn more fat. And that could be with anything. So there isn't a diet which is fundamentally the best. It is what you can adhere to. It's what you can stick to. It's what you can be consistent to. So you need to think about that. What diet can I stick to for me to adhere to this process? If I can't stick to this diet, it lasts for about a week, I'm not going to lose the body fat that I want. If I can stick to this diet, I'm going to lose the body fat that I want. So it's all about adherence, and it's understanding what you are going to be consistent with the best. And this depends on you as an individual. Vegetarian, that could work for you. Carnivorous diet, that could work for you. Whole food diet and not actually approaching any diets, that could work for you. So it's understanding what you thrive best on to create adherence. to have a think about that. Okay, what would I be most consistent with? What diet? And whatever that answer is, you might need to dip your toes into different, diets and foods. I don't even like the word diets, but for the case of this. And then once you think, okay, I think I can really stick to this, boom, then you've got adherence, you've got consistency. So find what you can adhere to make a certain way of eating work for your fat loss. 5, to keep weight off long term, exercise. So we all know, if you lose a ton of weight or if someone loses loads of weight, the statistics are really against you. They show that most people put the weight back on, right? They just go back to their default way of eating, default way of living, essentially. So you've lost a loads of weight, 12 weeks later, a lot of the time, most people put it back on. Now, what I found with this, and what I said to myself, if a client lost loads of weight, I didn't want to participate in those statistics. So I had to understand what are the mechanisms for that person to keep the weight off. And I tell you what, if you just focused on staying consistent with your exercise routine, the weight stayed off. And studies are now that didn't make sense. Studies are now coming to that conclusion that exercise is a beautiful way to manage your weight and keep the weight off that you've just burned. And I think it makes sense because there's loads of mechanisms that exercise produce for you to maintain, obviously, your body weight, healthy hormones, better sleep cycles, better health-seeking behaviors, just from being consistent with a regular exercise routine. So if you're losing loads of weight right now, if you've lost loads of weight, if you've put loads of weight back on, but you've lost it, what I want you to consider more than anything is, okay, how can I maintain a consistent exercise routine week after week? Because this leads to better adherence with your caloric intake and all of those other health-seeking behaviors that I mentioned. So exercise is a great way to keep the weight managed that you've just lost instead of then putting it all back on. There's going to be other things as well, most of course, but I'm just sharing what I've learned with clients. That's a really important one. I think you'll get a lot from that, just that tip alone, exercise. Okay, we're cruising through halfway. 6, information doesn't change people's minds, evidence does. And then I put get in the trenches. So I found that if I made a plan with clients or a new client and said, hey, this really works, this approach really works for you, 12 weeks down the road, this is what it could look like if we implement these things. And yeah, they might have had some buy-in, they might have agreed. But for you to truly believe something and for you to truly trust in something, you want to experience it. So when I got away from the drawings down of what that would look like, and when I started putting it into practice, it was then I saw the realization in their minds. Oh, I really get what you're saying now. It's evidence for your brain. It's evidence for them to understand. Okay, this is the track. I get what you were saying now. Yeah, it's cool that I painted the picture, but it's when I put it into practice, then the brain saw that as evidence and saw it as evidence to keep pursuing, or we had to recalibrate. So why does that matter? We spend a lot of time, whiteboarding. Will this diet work? I don't know what exercise to do. Here's a list of what I should do. Or look at all these practices and mindful practices. We list out so much information, but the true information for you to see results and for you to find practices that work for you isn't a list of what you should do. It's the experience it's the experiences through the practices. So you've got to get into the trenches for you to find practices that work for you and for you to believe that this practice is good. Yeah, this practice was really good for me, or this practice not so much. The information age, hundreds of pieces of information that we see, but we rarely take action on them because there's too many. But the real action is just delving into it, just getting into it. Okay, I'm going to start this. I'm going to do this today. I'm going to start this diet. No more whiteboarding, no more thinking about it. Let's get into the trenches. Then the brain realizes what evidence is good for you. Does that make sense? So no more pontification on practices. Have a go. Dip your toes in the water, because you'll find through experience what works for you and what doesn't work for you, which was kind of what I was getting at. 7, how did you sleep last night? So I found in my latter years that the better question to ask if a client came to me in the morning wasn't how was your day, or what you up to today, what does your day look like? I always asked, how did you sleep last night? Or how was your sleep? Or how was your sleep recently? Because I understood what I needed to do then. If I didn't take into account their sleep, because sleep is the biggest predictor of how your day is going to be the next day or that day. So if I didn't ask that and I then put them through a heavy strength training session, 1 RPM, 1 rep max, and they had no sleep, I could break them. But if I understood their sleep, now I could be smart about their training. Now I could really focus on what they needed. And this way I saw great results just from that simple ask of the question, how is your sleep at the minute? Because if you're having a poor night's sleep and you're training hard, there's going to be a day where you go in and you're going to hurt your back. So for you, ask yourself every morning, how did I sleep today? How did I sleep last night? If it was really bad, then you have an answer here, or you have a strategy. Okay, how am I going to conserve my energy? What is my best approach for exercise today? Is today I do a bit more restorative stretching? Or is today that I push real hard because I slept great? So you can think of the other way, right? If you slept amazing, today's the day I'm going to push my balance. I'm going to test my body. Sleep gives you an answer of the steps you can take for sleep gives you the best answer for what you need to do to see the results that you're after. I think that was a good way of putting it. Because it's the biggest, factor of how the day's going to be. You know what I mean. If you slept bad, it's not a good day, right? Your hormones are all over the place. You're agitated, irritated. But if you slept amazing, you can take on the world. So ask yourself every day, how did I sleep? Because that answer is going to determine how my day looks, and I can manage my energy, I can manage my practices, and I can take some pressure off myself as well. This way you're going to see some really good results. I promise you that. 8, have fun. We're getting there. So I found the clients who were with me the most, let's say over a 4, 5, even 6-year period, we had so much fun. We had banter. If they're about to do a deadlift, I'd do things like, hey, look over there, they're about to lift more than you. Having a bit of a laugh, and they're like, and then it spurred them on to lift heavier. I always try to implement having fun, because life can be very serious, especially in the training world and the Instagram world and the exercise world. It's like, who looks the most jacked, who's got the biggest, model pose. But we're losing a lot of fun, have some fun with your practices, enjoy the process that you're on. Because I find a lot of the time, if you are having fun, it's such a beautiful way to stay consistent, because you're enjoying it. You want to turn up for it every day, even if it's raining outside. So with your practices, have some fun, enjoy them. Because like I said, life can get very serious. And when there's enjoyment there tends to be more motive to turn up every day. More motivation, more, I really don't want to do this today, but I actually enjoy it, so I'm going to turn up anyway. As opposed to, I really don't want to do this today. In fact, this is so boring and arduous, I'm not turning up. There's a different mentality right there. So find stuff you love to do and enjoy, and have some fun, have some banter with it. Nearly there, last 2. 9, don't be afraid to dip your toes into new stuff. This kind of is similar to 8 of patterns I saw with people staying with me the longest. And not everyone's like this, but I found a lot of the time was people love variety, testing them with different exercises, adding different skills into their routine, getting them to try a new sport. Variety is good because it's testing your brain. There's a Japanese saying called shoshin, which is the beginner's mind. Having that beginner's mind with your exercise and your practices in general keeps a level of interest and intriguement for your brain. It says, this is something new, this is exciting, let me try that. And you try it and you want to get better. You think, I want to get better next time, or that was actually pretty fun. Can we do that again because I've never done that before? So with your practices, don't be afraid, what did I say? To dip your toes into new stuff. Have that shoshin mindset. Have that beginner's mind, because it's a way of improving yourself in different endeavors, but again, it keeps your level of excitement and intriguement. Life's a long game, so why not play around with different stuff and keep your level of excitement pretty high. 10. It's okay to put yourself down if you add yet to the end of the sentence. So what I wasn't happy with, if a client said, I can't do this deadlift, what's the point in even trying? But what I got them to think was, I can't do this deadlift, this is too heavy. Wait, does that work with the yet on the end? Let me think of a better example. There we go. I can't do this deadlift, it's too heavy, I will never be able to lift this weight. But then if I got them to add yet onto the end, it gets their mind to think, I can't do it now, but I'm working towards that and I will in the future. It sounds a very, finicky way of thinking, but it's a powerful way to think, because we naturally put ourselves down if we can't do something. We doubt ourselves. When we doubt ourselves, self-sabotage, self-critical thinking comes into play, and you get into that cycle of, I can never do that. But if you switch it and think, yeah, I'm right, I can't do that thing yet. Get your mind to think, okay, there's future probability here that I can do this in the future. And it's a little mind hack that you can just play. You can do this in your day. Okay, I haven't got all of the customers that I want yet. I haven't lost all of that weight that I've been trying to lose yet. Adding the yet, again, provides a different perspective and a way of thinking for your mind that gets you now to believe yourself that yet, yeah, you're right, I haven't got it yet, but I will in the future. So you can put yourself down, tell yourself you can't do something now, or you don't have this thing, you haven't lost the weight, but always add yet to the end. And over time, you're going to start thinking much more positively and productively, and thinking, but I will get it. So, and having that mindset is powerful. In a world full of negativity, you want as much positivity as you can for your brain. There we go. I hope those 10 helped. I really want you to see you achieve your goals, stick with them, and not give up. And I feel those 10 would be a great place to start. So let me know what you think of them. Let me know in the comments. Let me know if one resonates with you more than the others. And of course, I'm always open to feedback and anything you'd like to add. Thanks for your time. See you soon.